Welcome back to Deadmines, consuming lives since 2004. This is Brian, and
This is Charles, and you know, I
it,
know, I know, we've done this dungeon a million times, and I've been in plenty of groups that had tons of trouble in it, and we didn't have any of that trouble, and it's all new. We don't know what we're doing, guys. Since the expansion came out, we haven't looked up how to do things on the internet. We do have deadly boss mods, as you might have noticed before. So we'll get warnings, but that's warnings you're already going to get.
so this dungeon, out of all the ones we've done, has seen by far the most change. You saw that there's actually good guys inside the instance at the start, although it turns out they're more useless than shit-throwing monkeys, as you'll see later, because they actually will not attempt to help you whatsoever. But, and also there's a cannon up ahead. They have a number of controllable cannons throughout this, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I made sure to take control of those way more than you got to.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
this guy's a ninja over here.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. The cannon hurts a whole lot more than we do, so we just when we could we took control of cannons. There was like this one at the beginning, and the rest of them were on the ship at the end, and so this dungeon actually didn't take us too long. I think our actual playtime was close to an hour and a half. That was a lot quicker than our previous dungeon, the Ragefire Chasm.
And overall, it was pretty fun. A lot of the changes they made, although I wouldn't really call them particularly challenging, they were a lot of fun. They made you think and stuff. I just felt like they could have made the difficulty a bit higher.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the first Deadmines, when you got to the end and fought Van Cleef, it was actually pretty challenging because he has it's like four allies that are stealthed. And yeah, that was pretty hard when we did it with the Priest and Paladin 2-man like a year ago. So that would have been interesting with a druid and a shaman, and you were already coming up to the first boss. He is just at the end of the first hallway. These ogres that we are fighting are actually pretty difficult. They hit really hard and they have a rage. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's always kind of crazy when the trash is harder than the boss, because we get into this boss, and although he's different, he doesn't really present any real challenge.
And I've noticed we've had more difficulty with trash pulls than on the bosses. I mean, we did have when we have more than one enemy to fight at the same time, that's when it's the hardest. And if we have a boss with allies, that's really difficult. But this guy was pretty cool. He's just teleporting around the room and giving himself enhancements. So it was really neat.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll definitely say that. And they introduced phases in this, which in the past they didn't have early on, really, pretty much at all. They had some minor concept of phases, but this was truly felt like a raid boss where you go into a phase where the boss completely changes how he works.
I did notice that in old dungeons before, but the early dungeons where you walk in, tank and spank. You wait until the boss falls over and then you're done. And this is a bit more exciting. We get to move around. It's a lot better to move around and stand in one place and heal you all day.
Yeah, and for the tank to hit there and go like 2-3, 2-3, 2-3. This one you actually get a walk and then hit 2-3, 2-3.
I hope you're hitting button number 4 too. Also.
Oh, on occasion.
Okay, that's good. Oh, and I would really like this guy's phase 2. When we were doing it, like I'd said earlier, we had no idea what was going on, and so he starts blasting spells in all directions, and I was thinking the whole time that he was gonna like stop doing that, and then we'd get back to the fight, right? Were you thinking the same thing?
Yeah, you'll see. We just run around doing nothing for a while because we're like, holy shit, super power spell, and then eventually we're like, it's been a while.
Yeah. So then I just was like, oh well, I shoot some lightning bolts at him, and maybe he'll just fall over. And that was interesting. I mean, this reminded me like there's a back in was it Nax Ramus, you had the Hagen the Unclean, and you had to dance around in poison and stuff. And that was interesting. And then I do like this part at the end where he just kind of blows himself off because he's using too much magic. This is pretty funny.
We actually went back after this and did this dungeon again with our level lock just for fun, and it turns out that explosion he does doesn't do any damage. I tried to commit suicide, but it didn't work out.
Oh. Yeah,
So-
it was pretty interesting, though.
So here's the shit-flinging monkeys I was mentioning. If you don't save them, they'll work with their captors and throw shit at you, but if you click on their chains, they'll come free and they'll help you out in fighting. Although, really, they don't do much.
So you notice in this part that this is actually the only time either of us died, and that's because Brian has this obsessive need to release the monkeys. And he just, like, right here, yeah, that's it. He's gone, and I end up, leveling up on these guys on my own, sitting here duking it out with 2 or 3 elites, I forget how many, on my own, and until he shows back up again. It was like, it's a real shame, man, real shame. We almost had a perfect run.
But the monkeys, they were chained.
Yeah.
They had to be freed.
Oh no, these oaf things here, they were about as challenging as the Cyclopses before with the armor. They hit pretty hard, and then we move right on to the second box, Helix here. He's riding on top of the big oaf and throwing bombs at us, and like I think this was probably one of the coolest fights in the dungeon. We got bombs going around the place. He picks me up and runs me into the logs, and so he's just switching back and forth between us. I'd imagine it's kind of random if you have a full party. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and so the bombs, if you walk through them, they explode, and they also time out after so long and just explode. So it adds an aspect where you have to kind of keep track of where you're walking, especially later in the boss fight, now that he comes out, because once it's just him, he starts throwing a lot of bombs.
And you'll notice he clings to one of our faces, and like I guess he was trying to beat us up, but he didn't hurt very much. I think the bombs is his thing, and we did a pretty good job avoiding those. It's I thought it was pretty wild having a goblin stuck to my face for half this fight.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny, the sound effects when he's on your face, going, ha! And doing his little rogue daggers and constantly trying to poke your eye out, I guess.
And we had more interesting trash in this little hallway. This one was they had a priest, I guess, and had a holy fire spell, and it would buff up the other guys, and we'll see in a second here that holy fire hurt quite a bit. Did like about half your life total in damage, I think. Yeah, almost over half.
I didn't even notice that during the encounter.
I noticed these things because I was busy healing you.
I knew they were powerful. It's always the first one I targeted. I didn't realize that first shot was always hitting half my health.
Yeah, and now we're already into the next boss's chamber. We got these big, huge, what are they called?
Oh, I don't remember. They were robots.
Yeah, big construct things, and they're pretty interesting. We don't actually kill them after they get low enough. They deactivate, and then we get to pilot them. And they had a few abilities. We had no idea what we were doing though, and you'll see we just kind of waste them. When we came back, we had a bit more fun with them. They have like a charge and this steam thing, and I noticed one of their attacks actually recharges their steam. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you don't have to fight the annoying goblins here anymore. They're already dead. That was, thank God. Those always took forever and ever.
They really did a number to speed up this whole process, and I'd say this was probably the coolest fight in the dungeon. He just does his crazy things, running around and swinging a lot.
Yeah, so the overdrive, you just have to run away. He'll give you a warning, and then he goes around and does crazy mode, and I don't realize it for a bit, but after it ends, he jumps and does this crazy flurry attack that you can also avoid.
I thought that was only on the harvest, but he targets one
person.
person.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. It's on the harvest. This one right here. He comes back, and I'll be like, okay, it's safe, and then he goes and does that to me.
Yeah, but luckily it didn't hurt too much. It's like about a quarter of your health.
Yeah. So essentially, the first part of the fight is training, and then he goes into like overpowered mode.
Or he loses his limiters or something like that, and he starts doing, I think it was double the physical damage, and like it was much more challenging then, but it was still pretty manageable even with just the two of us.
Yeah. I could see with a group of total noobs, people just standing there and getting killed maybe on this fight.
Oh, maybe, but I'd like to think that if we can do it two-man, like at the level you probably should be in here, that a regular group shouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah. Very optimistic there, though.
Oh yeah, I'm really optimistic. I like to give people some credit, and it's fun anyway. So
yeah. But this is definitely one of the ones, like, letting you control those robots to fight a bit. The little notes that Blizzard adds in made this more fun than this room was in the past.
And before, you had a whole lot of stuff to clear, and that just kind of gets old. I like how they kind of streamlined the whole process. It's not a big painful experience. You go through, and you don't have too much in your way. We just about wrapped up this fight. He'll die pretty soon, and then we get to move on towards the last segment and the final bosses. I only showed this little cannon scene here. I remember in the first dungeon we get to, you either have a rogue pick the door, or you can get the blasting powder and shoot the cannon. On this one, when you try and use the cannon, it's booby trapped and the door explodes and 4 guys come out at you.
So it's kind of same concept as before. I bet a rogue could open up the door.
Yeah, probably. We don't know, but someone else does. That's fine.
But it's still definitely very challenging. So cannons.
Yeah, and here we have cannons. We really like the cannons.
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 Yeah, cannons.
I like these cannons.
Yeah, this was awesome. Absolutely awesome. It was a ton of fun to do.
We had a lot of hopes when we got up to the top that we could pull the boss and shoot him with cannons, and unfortunately, guys, that doesn't really work.
It was a sad day. There were tears.
Yeah, he just disappears, and we had to wait for him to show back up again.
They should have put the final boss on a boat and had us all trying to shoot him out of the sea or something.
Yeah, well, he is still on a boat. And from the start here in this fight, we thought it would be really easy, and it wasn't too difficult, but
there was a bit of challenge. So throughout, you can't really see it much on this, but he builds up a buff on himself, making himself stronger during each attack he does, and he also brings out these guys when he goes away, and these from here on out in the fight, these kind of pile up on you, so you have to constantly, especially with a group of just 2, you have to take your damage off the boss and put it on these guys before they stack up along with his buff.
And the problem we have with this is I still have to heal him, and while I'm healing him, I'm getting aggro from the ads, and it made it pretty hard.
Yeah, but in the end, he died.
Yeah.
And then Cookie!
Yeah, I remembered Cookie. And we used to farm him just to try and get that early wand. Yeah.
So, I don't think he was challenging enough for us to completely even understand the mechanic. We just clicked the food a lot, and he died.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. But, you'll see we get this debuff. So some of the food's bad, some of the food hurts him. I don't really know, but clicking on all the food worked really well.
Yeah, I was pretty confused while we were doing it, and I suspect the little green swirly things on the ground might represent bad food, or it might poison food. That might be it. But essentially, you pick up food, it buffs you. You get, do more damage, cast faster, and all sorts of good stuff. And then you kill Cookie, and that's it, guys. I believe our next dungeon will be the Wailing Caverns, so see you there.
Wow.